By the way, if you hear some snoring, it's my dog on the sofa over here. um, I had a couple of questions, and it's interesting. They both seem a little bit related to some of the discussion already. The first one is kind of I guess, a more pragmatic question, and that is, you've been using the term or referencing the body, and um, actually, that just the kind of I don't know what you want to call it, the sensing into the body has been really kind of interesting for me lately, in part based on some of your instruction and words. So this isn't a criticism of that, the use of that word, because actually I see a lot of value. But the reality is, and I want your input on this, the reality is there is no body.
Yeah, yeah.
What we're really referring to, and what I sense actually, is more just energy. That's the shift for me recently. Is like, it used to be when I would go feel into the body, it was just very sensation based. Like, oh, I've got some tension in my chest, or I feel some tingling here and there. Now it's a much looser kind of sensation, if you want to even call it that, where it's more a recognition of just a flow
Mm.
of energy. And so the question really was, there is no body. It's just what we're using a word to kind of talk about something in a kind of pragmatic way. Is that correct?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is no distinction between the body and the air or anything else. Um, it is all just one singular energy. And it really all does kind of melt, and it's hard to sense a border at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I point to that for people who aren't used to being in the body, because if you don't put attention there to begin with and know that the body is just as important as the thoughts, as an understanding of this.
Hmm.
So if it's not equal in the beginning, it's only going to stay up here.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to point to that. But
Yeah.
ultimately, yes, there is no body. Body is just a word. We
Right.
don't know what this is really.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought, you would say. But it kind of leads me to my second question. And it ties back to what I think a little bit what Jerry was talking about. And that is, like, when like, if I drop into my body in the way we're talking about, there is no self. That becomes really clear to me. Like, it just becomes clear. I don't know why or how, but it just is. It seems like, uh, when I consider close relationships, people I love, there's almost an opposite pole there and I think it's based in love for them, but love of them as a body,
Mm.
not, as a something, as a person. And it just, it almost pulls me back then. Like, there's a reaction. So, like, I think about my grandchildren. My grandson has been sick lately, and I think about him, and just, there's this person there, and when the thoughts go there, or the feelings of caring or love or concern or whatever they might be arise, it seems to reconstitute this body.
Mm.
And it almost feels like that for me right now is, for lack of better words, a stumbling block.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? That the caring about others pulls me back to me.
Mm.
I don't know if you have any comments or thoughts about that.
Yeah, I would say that everything you said is beautiful, that you care that much about them. Um, in a way, I would almost say like, um, what comes is like just fully see the beauty in it. There's nothing wrong with that, because that too will dissolve.
Mhm.
I think when it's seen for it not being a hindrance.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Because there is some resistance even there, because it's a resistance to, like, there's something in my way. It's the resistance is felt as there's something in my way, even though that what's in my way is beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, nothing is, I would say nothing is in your way.
Right. Yeah.
I can also mention that as the sense of self here was dissolving quite rapidly, I I ended up like visiting back home, and I had one of the biggest arguments with my mom, and the tension in the body was immense, 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 immense. And there was a lot of resistance to it. And there was an underlying deep knowing, not a knowing, but a sense that no one is here. And yet I'm triggered like mad.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow there was a deep acceptance of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was in absolute misery. I know that that's not your situation right now,
No,
but
but I could relate to it actually. Not, I mean, I could relate to it in the sense of, like, um, well, I'll use the example of my grandson. Like, I'm concerned about him, and I'll be there in whatever way I can be. Um, but I don't feel at the same time like uh, like I own something there
mm,
in the relationship, if that makes sense. Like, I don't, there's a like a natural movement towards doing what I can. And, that's been there for a long time. But what's shifted perhaps recently is there's also a recognition that if he's going to be sick, he's going to be sick. And it's not like, I don't own any of that.
yeah, absolutely.
And the result is I don't dwell on things near as much,
Yeah.
which obviously is, you know, frees up a lot of energy, and,
Yep.
things are just kind of less solid, less, there's just a lightness
Yeah.
to even difficult circumstances.
Hmm. Yeah. How I would describe it now is like, you know, I'm visiting my mom right now. And like, it was really wonderful for the first couple days. And then just like agitation came up. but there's no resistance to the agitation. It's like the body is agitated. It doesn't express it in extremes because the body processed, I think, pent up anger and stuff before.
Mm.
So when agitation arises, it might be expressed, but it's released quite quickly and it's forgotten about.
Yeah.
And I don't hold anything against anyone. It's just a reaction or a response that happens and then it dissolves.
Yeah.
So it's not like those kind of emotions don't arise. They just arise and quickly dissolve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of driving my wife nuts, by the way. Because she doesn't know how to quite interpret that movement. Yeah. Like she could see it as not caring in some way.
Right.
Like, especially if it's just a minor kind of, squabble or whatever, it's gone for me. It's, like it happened and it's gone. And she can't quite understand how it can be gone so quickly. But on the other hand, I also see for her where my not holding it makes her life better too. You know what I mean? Like she can't quite figure it out, but I'm sure at some level she appreciates it.
Yeah, on some level, she's probably able to let go of stuff a little faster as well because it's just happening automatically over there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Micah.
Hello. I was wondering that there is like feeling like too much intensity like in the body, and I'm like stretching all the time and trying to like be with it and like going to the massage and in this kind of practical ways trying to like ease the feeling. But do you have like any hint like how to be with it? It has been worse that it's not that bad at the moment, but it like comes with this opening, or I don't know what word I would use, but
Opening where?
like things are like opening, and like it's like feeling, especially like in the forehead somehow. Like, did you have anything similar, or have you heard?
Yeah, sometimes there were it felt like openings in certain areas, but it felt quite nice. But if it feels too intense for you.
Yeah, it feels also like it doesn't feel in the bad way, but sometimes there's like I'm like trying to do stretching and like to ease it a little bit, like it feels like too much intensity sometimes.
Okay, and it's really not enjoyable.
No, it's if I just can't just like be, but if I had to like interact with others, that it's like if I have something to that I should do, then it's a little bit a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Maybe your body is very open. Because usually when this body interacts with others, it's more, it senses it's not the time. And then when the body really just deeply relaxes, then yeah, it senses that that's the time. But so do you feel some of it right now?
Yes, little bit, and like no, it's not that difficult because like I'm teaching like children to play clarinet, so they come like one to one, and like I it's more easy with maybe like children are more open, like from year 6 to 20, but but still like going to massage makes feel a little bit better, and this stretching.
Like yoga type stretching?
Not just like what comes.
Okay.
So it's like stretching like chest, and like there is like some blocks maybe in the chest, and then maybe in the neck, and then here is the like main
Okay.
like the intensity somehow.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I can do for you is maybe we could just sit together here, just feel it for a little bit. So you can close your eyes. And just putting the energy on you. Don't worry about anyone waiting. Everyone's welcome to join if they want. And just gently noticing what's happening in the body. Allowing it to be exactly as it is. So I can say two things. I think sometimes you can just keep in mind knowing that the body knows exactly what it's doing. It's releasing and opening whatever it needs to do. So if it feels manageable, and if you can even enjoy it while you're at work and doing things, just allowing it to be as it is. And then sometimes if it feels too overwhelming, then you can direct your attention and focus onto the task at hand. And that will hopefully kind of divert the attention and energy and kind of allow the body to do what it's doing in the background. But I will be honest, sometimes it is hard to control, what energies are coming up in the body and when they'll come up. How does it feel now?
No, it feels good, like, and it sounded helpful that I felt that sometimes if you are concentrating to the body, it may intensify it even more.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's maybe good to like feel the body, but sometimes to concentrate to the like what is happening outwardly. So
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the way.
Yeah. If you feel like you can do that, kind of shift your focus, yeah, it'll give the body a little less attention and energy. So then it won't be able to process as much, And then when you're home and relaxed and you don't have to do much, then you can give the body just all the space it needs to do whatever it needs to do. Yeah.
Yeah, they maybe like something else also coming, like intergenerational traumas and these kind of things. but they also like can like flow and seen like more just like as a narrative, that in the way that I think that there's these two things like mixing these bodily energies and then these traumas that comes from the history.
Yeah, so in a way, I think like when the body is processing this stuff, like because the personal narrative also had to do with that, the relationship with your parents, and your parents, you know, obviously had the relationship with their parents. So in a way, it is passed down in the story. So it's not a bad thing to think about it that way, but it's also, I think, not as much as that makes it sound like. To me, it seemed like it was more just in this apparent lifetime, the story that was here just was dissolving. And when the story really dissolved, the belief and the idea of the ancestral trauma and stuff, that also dissolved as well. Yeah, but ultimately, like the body knows exactly what it needs to purge. And I think so when you do have time at home, obviously if it's too intense, then don't take this advice. But if there's a gentle allowing of it to do exactly what it needs to do, you know, then it can have an easier time just. And if you can enjoy it a little bit too, that's also nice.
Yeah, it's also like felt that it eventually is not like a bad thing, that it's just like some kind of opening in the good way, but can be at the moment like too much intensity in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that it can be intense at times. Yeah, I have a friend who, like, he would be at work and just have complete panic in the body, just having to work. And yeah, it can be very difficult at times.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing. Good to see you here.